About intellectual principles, thinking is possible. About intelligible principles, rationalization is possible. And the Neoplatonists divided between thought and rationalization. The next thing is that they had created a new instrument, which they termed the soul, or the psychic part of man. They did not devise the term, but they devised its peculiar relationship to the whole pattern. And they placed the soul in the relationship to the external life of man, as suspended between the mind and the appetites. The appetites being particularly those phases of elementary function and concept which we associate with the physical requirements of the individual. The psychic life, therefore, was a bridge between body and mind, a bridge across which the individual passed from a state of comparative not knowing to a state of intellectualism. Now, this is not an entirely easy or natural transition to make, but according to the Neoplatonists, this part of man's journey was a collective journey in which the entire motion of society, the cultural life of man, was carrying him along, almost like a ship upon the surface of a heavy current, regardless of what man tries to do, regardless of his indolence or his industry, regardless of his faith or his lack of faith, man is being moved from a physical to an intellectual life. And this is due to his soul, which is a series of pressures within himself, by means of which he is unable to remain in any state indefinitely. His soul moves in by fear, by ambition, by the gratification of his sensory desires, by his instincts, and to a measure by his intuitional overtones. The soul, in other words, is the part of man which will never let him remain as he is today. Even though his soul may apparently lead him into ways of error so that he becomes worse, this increase of his ignorance, presumably, is a dynamic chemistry by which the increase of his knowledge is ultimately inevitable. Consequently, regardless of how actively or passively he accepts life, how much he rejects, how numerous his prejudices and his opinions may be, how bigoted his emotions or his mind, the individual is being moved along inevitably by the total pressure of his kind, from the state of total ignorance to the state of intellectual integration.